And I'm Desi Capaz. Very good show.
We probably have more listeners on today's show than any other show that we've done. That's because
it could be, yeah.
Very hot topic today.
It is.
We have in the studio Steve Abbs, the Vice President at Homes by David on Homes, and we also have Carol Barge and Suzanne Trouchard representing the opposition of Napa Oaks. Napa Oaks 2, as it is sometimes referred to. This is a development that is proposed to go up on Old Sonoma Road, on the south side of Old Sonoma Road, once you get to the crest of the hill there. So this has been something that's been going on for quite a long time, and we're going to hear from both sides on that today. So glad that you are tuned in. I just wanted to kick us off by reminding not so much our guests, because our guests are very professional, but if you tuned in expecting to hear fireworks and all kinds of nastiness, that's not what you're going to hear today, because we got professionals here in the studio. Desi and I are professionals as well, so we're going to be respectful of one another, and we want the listeners to be mindful of that also. And one thing that I learned a long time ago is an acronym called CUBA. And that is not necessarily in deference to my co-host, Desi Capaz, who is...
Well, we also have another Cuban in here, too.
We have two Cubans in
That's right. That is right.
But in my context here, CUBA is clarity and understanding before agreement. And I'm not sure where I learned it, but it was a long time ago, and it basically comes down to, too often, anytime that we are in a discussion or a debate with someone, we're so focused on convincing our opponent to bend to our whims that we're not understanding what their side is. And so that's really what we're going to try and do today, is understand the opposition, have a good, clear understanding of it, because ultimately everything comes down to compromise. Just ask my wife of 34 and a half years, or anyone that's been married for a good long time. Compromise is key in marriage and interpersonal relationships and business, and so that's my advice to the room today. So,
thank you.
That, we didn't do a flip of the coin as to who is going to begin our.
If I carry change in my pocket, I would be able to do that for you.
No one even has a coin here, so why don't, if it's okay with you. Who went first last time? You went first last. Okay. So we'll have Steve Abbs begin, and we're going to give us 7 minutes. And just in case you're out there listening, we are timing this, so it's all going to be fair. Steve Abbs from David on Homes will speak for 7 minutes, and then Carol and Suzanne will speak for 7 minutes, and then we'll break into some Q&A. We've got a lot of questions that have been submitted to us via either our website or Nextdoor or word of mouth, people in our offices and things of that nature. So, Steve, if you are ready, you may take it away.
I'm ready. Thanks, Lee, Desi. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. I haven't been on the radio since the early 90s, back in my old baseball days. So I'm happy to be here, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you and your audience the Napa Oaks project. And to set the facts straight, there's a lot of misinformation being spread out there, and the facts don't lie. So I do look forward to this conversation today. Napa Oaks, it's an exciting project. It has evolved tremendously over time. It's evolved because we have listened. We have listened to the community, we've listened to the neighbors, the decision makers, and the experts. And what we have before the city today is a low-impact, well-designed project that addresses every single issue raised over the past several years. And along with the public benefits that this project provides, we believe Napa Oaks will be Napa's finest new neighborhood. So a bit about the project. The property is 81 acres, all located within the city limits, within the RUL, on the west side of town off of Old Sonoma Road. That RUL was established back in the 1970s, and that was an agreement between the county and the city. And they agreed inside that RUL is where housing and urban development shall be. And outside would be the greenbelt and remain as the agricultural preserve. Again, this project is inside that RUL. Some additional history. In the 1960s, the owner of the property at the time performed extensive grading, flattening many areas and graded roads throughout the property. And we have a pretty cool 1966 aerial photo of that fresh grading. But what this did was gave us a canvas to work with. So we were able to cluster the homes on the previously flattened areas and place the roads on the previously graded roads. And this really reduces the grading and environmental impacts of the project. So now, after submitting our application in 2011, and over the past several years of listening to the various concerns regarding visibility, safety, environmental protections, etc., the project has evolved, and we have modified our plan into a great 51-lot neighborhood. That's before the city today. The lots will average just under a half acre. The homes will range between 3418 square feet to 5109 square feet, and it'll be a combination of single-story homes, two-story, and downsplit homes. And they'll all have rich architecture, unlike any other neighborhood here in Napa. So the other important thing is that these homes will be tucked amongst existing and newly planted oaks. And it'll also be tucked amongst the topography of the site. So that visibility of the homes from Napa Valley is effectively eliminated. And on the Carnero side, only a few rooftops can be seen from the very limited points on Old Sonoma Road. So protecting that viewshed was the number one concern raised by the communities, and we have modified our plans and have succeeded in making sure there is no impact on that viewshed. The project also preserves 50 acres or 62% of the site as open space. Within that open space, there will be approximately 2 miles of trails and pathways with picnic tables and benches, and there will be a trailhead with a parking lot, a top lot for kids, a lawn and picnic area, and a unique outdoor exercise facility. And these recreation amenities will have spectacular views and will all be open for the public's use. So some of the other public benefits this project provides. I talked about the 50 acres on site of open space preservation and the viewshed protection. This project will also preserve 29 acres off site. So the entire ridgeline from Old Sonoma Road north to the big white happy face house up on the hill, that all remains permanent open space with this project. So in total, both on-site and off-site, this project will forever protect 79 acres of open space and forever protects 1 mile of westerly viewshed. Also, the project constructs a roundabout at Old Sonoma Road at our project entry. And because of the safety concerns raised, we work closely with Public Works on this. And this will slow traffic that exceeds 55, 60 miles an hour down to 15 miles an hour as it enters the neighborhood, significantly increasing the pedestrian and bicycle safety within the neighborhood. Also, we're installing almost a mile of off-site water line, completing a gap in the city's water system. This will improve the water quality and provide higher volumes and pressures for emergency purposes citywide, not just for this project. Also, we're offering to partner up with the Gasser Foundation and its affiliates to prepay close to $2 million in fees to provide immediate funding to a shovel-ready, affordable housing project here in Napa. This is a great partnership that will get workforce housing constructed immediately here in town. And then also we're partnering up with Napa Resource Conservation District and implementing its Acorns Oak program. We'll fund that program and dedicate 9 acres on site so that the youth of Napa can plant oak seedlings and learn about the native ecology. We'll also give them access to the entire 50 acres so that they can supplement the aging oak woodlands so that it remains sustainable. So some other benefits. All streets and open space are all privately maintained. There's not going to be any cost to the city. There'll be a property tax revenue of about $1 million annually. And all the houses will be designed to accommodate a junior accessory unit. And this will provide an optional, affordable rental component to the project. So all that's a big list of public benefits that we're providing. I mean, it's and there's actually others that I haven't even listed, but we estimate this benefits to exceed $15 million in immediate benefits to the city, plus the $1 million of annual revenue. But there is one benefit I have not mentioned, and I believe it's the most important, in that this project provides housing. It provides housing now. I think we all can agree there's a housing crisis here in Napa. The affordability and availability make it nearly impossible for anyone to move into Napa, whether you're an unskilled worker or a doctor or an executive. There's a shortage of housing at all levels, and this project does provide housing at multiple levels. So, in closing, we've gone through some extraordinary lengths and costs to listen and resolve issues in a community-oriented way. And thanks to the community's input and people like Carol Barge and Suzanne here, we have truly succeeded in providing an exceptional project, unlike any other in the city of Napa. We have fixed all the concerns raised, and we have agreed to spend millions on additional benefits to the city. This is a project I am proud of, and at the end of the day, I believe that the city of Napa is really proud of.
Well done.
Thank you.
On your timing.
Perfect. There's the alarm.
For those of you listening, you can now set your watch by that time. All right. Thank you very much, Steve Abbs of David on Homes. And now we turn the floor over to Carol and Suzanne. Remember to speak directly into the microphone.
This is Carol Barge, and I want to thank Lee.
Even more directly. There you go.
Thank you, Lee and Desi, for having us on today to inform your listeners about Napa Oaks. We moved to California in 1997 from Minnesota, and before moving, I was a realtor, so I'm familiar with and feel strongly about property rights. I live at 251 Caswell Street with my husband of 36 years, and our house is adjacent to parcels and homes David owns on Caswell Street. They own 2 single-family rental homes that sit on 2.5 acres, and it's zoned for single-family residential. Zoning allows for another 5 homes on those parcels, and I'd be very supportive of David On's zoning rights to build homes next to me. They would be a nice addition to our neighborhood. The back of our property borders the hillside that David On owns. The zoning for this 78-acre hillside is 1 house per 20 acres. So they could build 3, possibly 4 homes on the hillside. That is their right, and I would be very supportive of them keeping to the resource area zoning of 1 per 20. In total, they can build or own 11 homes. Now, instead of building homes next to me that could really benefit the community, what they want to do is scrape the parcel and install an open retention basin in an existing neighborhood. The amount of surface runoff that is expected to come down the hillside due to grading and driveways and roadways is too much to fit into a drainage pipe. So now they are putting us and our neighborhood at risk. What if there's a breach due to an earthquake? Or what if the pond fails to capture all the water and it overflows? And what about mosquitoes? Will this pond be safe from children and animals? What protections do we have from this basin? The reason I'm in opposition to Napa Oaks is essentially a zoning issue. My neighbor Suzanne, who will also present opposition to the project, will speak in more detail about this. Lastly, I do not represent a small group of disgruntled homeowners fighting a developer because we are a bunch of NIMBYs. In fact, if David On had the zoning rights to build high-density housing on the hillside, I would not be fighting them. Our group is not the only one opposing Napa Oaks. The Napa Planning Commission, on a split vote last December, voted no on Napa Oaks for a variety of reasons. The Greenbelt Alliance featured Napa Oaks as well as Skyline Wilderness Park and others in its at-risk report, concerned about development in areas that should be left to open space. And the courts ruled against David On Homes in a lawsuit that they filed against the city in 2005 for not changing the zoning, which would allow them to go forward and build their houses. They lost the lawsuit, appealed it, and lost again. The courts concluded, and I'm quoting now, the finding that the site is too sensitive and constrained was properly based on the physical attributes of the property itself, rather than an application of the RA designation, unquote. So now I have outlined 3 main agencies who have come out strongly opposed to this high-density plan. And if you look at an aerial map, it just makes sense that this hillside serves as a buffer for the city on one side and agriculture and open space on the other. And I'm looking forward to this hour and this hour-long discussion because there are so many flaws and concerns that are not being adequately addressed by David On Homes. And now I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne.
Thank you for having me, Lee and Desi. It's a pleasure to be here. To buttress Carol's points, there are essentially 4 main takeaways I'd like to convey to the citizens of Napa today. Number 1, As many of you know, this multi-million-dollar Walnut Creek developer has been trying to develop this property since the 90s and has failed miserably at every turn. The general plan amendment took place in 1998, and they acquired the last parcel of their assemblage in 2000, knowing full well the zoning that was in place. This is a flawed project in which they're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and it simply does not work, no matter how many times they try and how they try to spin it. In my 13 years as an attorney and 6 years as a real estate broker, I have never seen such an attempt by a developer. For me, it has been mentally, emotionally, and intellectually exhausting to have to deal with a developer so relentless that will stop at nothing to make his bonus and profit margins. Number 2, the project, on the merits itself, does not pass muster legally or aesthetically, as acknowledged by the Planning Commission at last month's hearing, where the project was recommended denial by a vote of 3-2. Paul Kelly stated that he shuddered at the shelter-in-place option, among other major emergency access concerns. What does fire-safe construction even mean to the developer? Are there inside sprinklers? What is the outside design and materials? Do you have exposed wood and open eaves? Shelter-in-place did not work in the recent firestorms. Why would it work here? This is putting new residents at risk. And even now, the new discovery of the Alquist-Priolo fault zone issue has caused them to pull the agenda from City Council's meeting next week. They are trenching away at the site, scrambling feverishly to come up with another pseudo-solution. And for those who are not familiar with the Alquist-Priolo Earthquake Fault Zoning Act, its main purpose is to prevent the construction of buildings used for human occupancy on the surface trace of active faults. This is a big deal and a major red flag. Number 3, their housing shortage arguments also fail when the MLS shows close to 100 active listings in the price range of these homes. Their gallant offer of $1.9 million to the Gasser Foundation is somewhat deceptive. These are required in lieu of fees from their other project, Anderson Ranch, and now Napa Oaks. The City of Napa has already stated these fees must be given to them, and they decide where to allocate. In my mind, they reference the Gasser Foundation because they know it's associated with feel-good projects. Do these funds even represent the minimum required, or is Deviton making additional contribution? Number 4, and perhaps the most salient point for me, is that this developer claims to be part of the community, which is all about agriculture. Yet he attempted to sabotage our family winery project on the Napa County side, which had unanimous support from the community and was considered a model application by many in the county. They held our project hostage by telling us to drop opposition to Napa Oaks, otherwise they'd have damaging information for our project, which was false. To me, that is a blemish that can never be removed from their record and is a testament to the character, integrity, and motives, all of which are driven by dollar signs. So in closing, I'd say to the developer, this is a gamble that you lost. You acquired the last parcel of this assemblage knowing full well the zoning and thinking you could change that. You thought wrong, and now is the time to walk away. Either sell the property or build the 11 homes you are able to as of right. Steve is correct that facts don't lie, but the reality is that the facts are stacked against the developer.
Well, thank you very much, Suzanne. Appreciate that. And perfect on timing again. Well, we have both sides opening statements. Now we would like to open it up to questions that were posed by other neighbors on Nextdoor that we've posted that we were going to be on the air. So we like to take the time to send out that question to both, well, actually to Steve. And then you can always come back and rebuttal his answer. So number 1, Steve, and I can actually name this person. It's Andrew from Browns Valley. I'm just going to only put the first name to it. So he wants to know and wants to ask you how he thinks, or you think, buildings of $2 million or more is a public benefit for the city, and to change the general plan for that.
Yeah, sure. First, I'm hoping I can have the opportunity to rebut some of the comments just made by Suzanne and Carol, Carol, sorry. There's some pretty interesting comments there that, again...
Right into the mic, Steve. We get real close.
So,
and if you want to, Steve, if you want to take this to the back seat real quick and this question to the back seat and go ahead and rebuttal, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, and then why don't we let the opposition rebut yours as well, and then we'll get into the Q&A. Sorry,
Okay.
we're doing this on the fly.
Yeah, no,
Well, we don't have much time. We don't have much time, so we really got to get this going.
There's a lot said there that I need to clarify. First, I want to talk about the lawsuit with David on and the city. So, Carol quoted some that the court actually found, but that's not exactly the case. That was something that the court stated that the city could find in denying the project. So basically, what had happened is the Napa County Superior Court ruled that the city, in applying the RA designation from the 1998 general plan, the city failed to proceed in a manner required by law, therefore abusing its discretion. So, however, the court ultimately ruled in favor of the city because the applicant failed to prove that the city's abuse of discretion was prejudicial. This was because the city had other independent grounds to deny the subdivision. That was what Carol just quoted. But the Court of Appeals affirmed the court's decision. So that clarifies the lawsuit. It did say that the city acted actually inappropriately. Secondly, the Alquist Briola, that affects not only David On's property, it affects Carol Barge's property, it affects the Trichards Winery, it affects their whole family vineyards. We are out there because we have the ability to go out there now, because it unfortunately is untimely and unforeseen that it came up two weeks before our hearing. And we are out there by law having to go out there and verify this very wide, very conservative plotting of this zoning. So we are going to cross our T's and dot our I's and make sure that we're going to have this thing fully taken care of before we go to hearings. In regards to shelter in place, you look back at the Planning Commission hearing, the last hour, the Planning Commission grilled this fire department on the whole fire plan and shelter in place. Larry Pissarro with fire prevention nailed it. He disclosed everything that we are doing everything right on this project. Shelter in place, yes, we are putting sprinklers in the houses. We're putting fire-resistant materials. We're putting a defensible space around all the houses. David On's going to go out and clear the property entirely, so that it is not fire-resistant. In fact, Larry Pissarro said that the project will be less fire-resistant post-development than it exists today. So the neighbors on Caswell should be excited that this project's going to go as far as fire is concerned. Carol mentioned the basin. That basin has been designed by experts. There's thousands of basins in the Bay Area that are very similar to this. There's one over on Buttercup here in town. There's 3 homes that surround that basin. Sorry. Okay. So I'll finish it. But anyway, I think that the basin is designed by the experts. It collects storm drains, stormwater. It retains water only on a temporary basis. It'll drain out a 10-year event within 4 hours. So it does not hold water. It is not a safety issue regarding kids' safety, or it's not even a mosquito-infested basin. So anyway, I appreciate the opportunity to at least clarify those items. And I welcome follow-up questions also. So.
Okay.
And the Alquist Briola, for our listeners, if you're not familiar with that all has to do with earthquake faults.
Exactly.
Newly discovered.
Newly discovered. It's all as a result of the 2014 earthquake, Napa quake. They just now released the mapping for that.
Okay, so we got 2 minutes before a break. Why don't you go ahead and rebuttal anything on his answer?
So, Suzanne, you might want to speak to something differently here, but regardless of the details of the lawsuit, the fact remains, I didn't misspeak, David On sued and lost twice in court. And the basin is supposed to be regulated by the HOA, the Homeowners Association up there, and that's, I think, putting a lot of faith ongoingly for years to come on maintaining the integrity of that basin. And I do believe, and a lot of people believe, that we'll have a mosquito-infested neighborhood on top of the possibly imminent danger on it. Is there something you wanted to say, Suzanne?
And just regarding the shelter in place, in theory, sure, it sounds like a superhuman bubble. Would you be protected by the fires? But at the end of the day, I had friends, scrambling down Atlas Peak Road, no matter how safe the house claims to be, in chaos and in attempts to protect your family, people are going to want to evacuate and get out instead of watching everything burn around them. And we unfortunately went through that recently, so it's still very much alive and fresh in people's minds. And I don't think that again, shelter in place in theory may make sense, but in practice it would be complete bedlam.
All right, you are listening to the Lee and Desi Real Estate Show, and we are going to go to commercial break. And we will continue with some
I'm Desi Capaz.
You are listening to the Lee and Desi Show.
That's right.
Baseball oriented.
Well, everyone's hanging on the edge of their seat for this day in history. So
Yeah, of course they are. And on this day in history, the very first members of Cooperstown were inducted, and you might not be surprised that it was Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, Christy Mathewson, and Walter Johnson. There's very great baseball players right there. That was back.
have you ever been to Cooperstown?
I have, and I
Yes.
spent a good 6 hours by myself in there. The best time
Isn't that great?
Cooperstown is in February. Nobody's there. It was absolute heaven.
Well, yeah, because it's probably under like 3 feet of snow.
It was very cold out there. All right, and our quick real estate trivia is most people don't realize that McDonald's is not just a burger flipping restaurant chain. They are one of the world's best real estate portfolios.
I believe it.
All the franchisees, they do all the burger flipping, and McDonald's gets paid handsomely for owning the best commercial real estate all over the world. So that's really their business model is real estate, but they just got there via burgers.
That's why real estate is important to have in your portfolio.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And we like saying portfolio. And now it's time to introduce our sponsor of our show, Tom McDonald of Signet Reverse Mortgage. Welcome, Tom. And you can get in touch with Tom at reversemortgageconsultant.com. He is our in-house, outhouse, everything expert on... Did I just say outhouse, our real estate show? Sorry about that. You know what I mean.
Yes.
You are
It's okay.
our absolute expert on all things reverse mortgage, and we are happy to have you here. Tell us what you're going to tell us today.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Did you know that you can purchase a home with a reverse mortgage? I'm guessing you guys...
I've heard it, and I did know that. I did know that. Yeah,
One for two,
I did.
You can. And some people get real confused when I say that because they think of a reverse mortgage. You have to have equity in your house. The equity is used to create the funds that you're going to take either as cash up front, monthly payments, or a line of credit. So think of it this way. In a regular mortgage, your realtor is going to suggest that you get pre-approved. So you go to a lender, you get pre-approved for the loan. You start looking at houses. You draw up a contract. You get into contract, go in through escrow, sign the final documents at the end, your mortgage is approved, and you make monthly mortgage payments. So on a reverse mortgage, it's all identical except for that last sentence. You don't make monthly mortgage payments. You pay the loan back when you sell, move, or pass away. There are a few other little differences. One, and really a very important one, and it's a safeguard, is that to do a reverse mortgage, you have to go through counseling with an independent third party. And they're going to walk you through all the information. Congress mandates this. Not quite sure if the lender is wearing a white hat or a black hat and going to tell you all the right stuff. In my opinion, if that had been done before the crash and regular mortgage people had to go through some sort of a counseling, I don't think we would have had a crash because I believe a lot of those people didn't really know what they were getting into. In a reverse mortgage, we feel it's very important that people learn exactly what's going on and can make some good decisions for the rest of their life. In fact, I'm going to be in the process of doing my own reverse mortgage for a house that I'm purchasing. So I'll be able to lead a little bit better rather than just saying, you do this. I can say,
On your
I've done it, and here it
on
goes.
your long list of houses that you own already, you're buying another one?
I'm going to sell the other two. And I'll have enough money
There you go.
to relax
Here's-
in retirement rather than...
You're the real estate typhoon.
There.
Good for you.
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank
very
you,
much.
Tom.
Tom McDonald, Signet Reverse Mortgage. Fire your questions away to Tom at 265-6385. He is the consummate professional, and he will not steer you wrong. We trust him, and we respect him.
And the real estate typhoon.
Yeah.
New title. Okay.
All right. So we will now return discussing Napa Oaks. We have, and if you have any questions, we can't forget to make sure that you know how to get in touch with us. We are leeanddesi.com. We are leeanddesi@gmail.com. We are at Lee and Desi on Twitter. So you see the pattern there. Just follow the Lee and Desi Yellow Brick Road and communicate with us. Let us know what you're thinking, and we're happy to address your questions. So we are ready to start our Q&A.
Yes, we are.
We've already posed the Q, and what we postponed the A until
Yeah.
now. So Steve, go
I'll
ahead.
just say it real
Go ahead and
quick.
restate that.
Yeah, let me restate it here real quick. So it's from Andrew from Browns Valley, and he just wants to know, well, I'm going to say $1 million and over homes, how are they going to benefit the public?
Yeah, so I think we all can agree we're in a housing crisis here, and housing's needed at all levels. I think the city council and the decision makers have done a great job in this city. They've really built a business-friendly atmosphere, and this has kind of become a world destination. And so, in talking with the real estate industry and the business community, they are having a hard time finding homes for employees that executives that want to move into town. There's a list of each realtor has a list of buyers, but there's not enough availability of homes. So there is a need for $1 million plus homes in the city. Also, what that upper level housing does, it does provide move-up opportunities for those people that are in older homes that want to move up. And that what that does is it provides kind of a trickle-down effect where it does open up some of the older areas and the less expensive homes for those. And then also it relieves the pressure off older neighbors like old neighborhoods like Old Town and Alta Heights, where when you look at the cost of those houses down in Old Town now, I mean they're over $1 million for 1,300 square foot homes. So it'll relieve that price. It'll keep those neighborhoods more affordable for where the working class families should be, closer to the city center, and it does provide benefit to the city having this upper level home.
Do you guys have a rebuttal? A quick one?
I would just point out again, just a quick basic search on the MLS does reveal over 100 listings in that price point, so that argument fails. And quite frankly, the priority of the city and the county is really affordable housing. There are still a lot of opportunities for urban infill and to create housing opportunities, which I think should be the priority. It shouldn't be on a natural green buffer that serves as a view shed on one of the most scenic roads designated by the county, Old Sonoma Road. And look at Napa Pipe, for example. Napa Pipe was a project that was endorsed by the Greenbelt Alliance. That is a smart, efficient project as a hybrid of affordable housing and other sorts of projects. These are the types of projects that the city and county should be focused on, not second homes for people from Silicon Valley.
Okay. I'm going to let you take it in case you have a question. If not, I'm going to go.
Well, Desi and I decided going into this that we were going to remain neutral, and we are going to remain neutral.
We are.
We're not saying our position on the development one way or the other. But I have to at least say your rebuttal was rather subjective. So, as a realtor, yeah, it doesn't matter how many listings are on. I have at least a half a dozen clients right now that are looking to buy, and so the move-up capability for these is, I believe, as a realtor, is a legitimate thing. That someone moving out of a $700,000 house, which anyone outside of Napa might say, well, that's ridiculously expensive. It happens to be the average price home here in Napa. So to move out of a $700,000 into a 1.2 and leverage their equity for that move up is a genuine thing. So that's not saying one way or the other how I feel about the project, but I think that is a legitimate benefit of this project. So, did you want to ask the next question, Desi?
Okay, so Steve, you've been turned down twice already from the city, pretty much, and then you went to or not twice, but from the courts too. You have appealed, and then you've been ruled against. Why the persistence? Why do you want this project so bad?
Well, I think one, David On did acquire the property in '96, so it is a little bit misleading that we acquired this after the '98 general plan. We did acquire all pieces of the property in 1996. There was two of the parcels that we closed in '96. Two of them we had an option that we actually had significant, several hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, invested in. And that we had, by the time that 1998 came around, we were vested in this property. So we did close on two of the parcels in 2000, but we acquired them all as part of this project back in '96. So, and then we also had two offsite parcels that we had invested in too. So, back to the question. This project, times have changed. I think back in 2098. There wasn't a housing crisis back then. We own this property. I think you fast forward to 2011 when we made application for this project. The circumstances here in the city have changed. Housing is needed. Housing at all levels is needed, and that's where we decided let's get an application in. Let's put forth a project that the city can be proud of. Let's work with the community. Let's address all the issues, and we have addressed every issue. There's no view shed. There's no visibility of the project. There's no impacts whatsoever on this. So it does provide housing in a time where the city needs housing, and that's why we made our application.
Would you like to
rebuttal?
Yes. So we have a website. It's stopnapaoaks.com, and you can go on that website. There's all kinds of information posted there, and there is the deed to that hillside of 78 acres, and it was purchased in 2000.
Closed in 2000. We acquired it in '96.
You exercised the option in 2000.
Yes. Right. So, but the deed shows 2000, the year 2000, and the general plan amendment came in 1998. Now they did buy the parcels next to me in 1996, but those are already zoned single-family residential. So I think those are facts that really matter, and we're going to have a disagreement on this, I guess, but David On went in eyes wide open on Napa Oaks. They knew that the zoning was not single-family residential on the hillside when they purchased it, and again, you can go to our website and check it out.
Okay. I just want to add, again, I'm not trying to take sides, but any developer purchases property and not necessarily, they assume the possibility of a general plan amendment. A general plan amendment is not like oh my goodness, what are you doing? It's in the general plan, you can't deviate from that. I think our cities all over the nation are set up to allow for general plan amendments. Otherwise, we would never have any development. So I just want our listeners to understand that is not something that is just off the wall crazy and just never done. So.
Okay, so
May I have a quick rebuttal on that?
absolutely.
Lee, I would disagree wholeheartedly. Yes, general plan amendments do happen, but the general plan is essentially the blueprint of what a city and what a county should look like. When you take the courses in law school about how to land use and zoning, that's the basic tenet of any land use and zoning course.
At the time that it's set in place, correct.
At the time that it's set in place. They do allow for amendments to kind of clarify, to correct things, understand things, but not to destroy a hillside, not to destroy what's meant to be a natural agricultural buffer. It's a very, very high bar that's placed to amend, to do a general plan amendment and zoning change. So, it's a little bit, I don't want to mislead them to say that they happen all the time. They do happen to correct certain things, but for a development of this nature, it's a very, very high bar, and quite frankly, they have not met it.
If I may.
Sure.
My 2 cents. So you're right. So there is a general plan amendment process here in the city, and since 1998, there's been 53 general plan amendments on this 1998 general plan. One being Stanley Ranch. Stanley Ranch was also a resource area designation, and that project consists of a hotel, a winery, and 95 residential units on 90 acres. We're asking for 51 on 80 acres, and also. As I mentioned earlier, as the circumstances change, I'm going to quote some from the 1998 general plan in the statement of overriding consideration that deemed this an RA. But it quotes, "The city will consider proposals for amendments to the plan in order to adjust to future circumstances not known at the time of the plan was adopted." And it goes on to say, "The goals and policies of the general plan are not strict, rigid standards, but instead are general guidelines for the city to consider in its overall decision-making. The City Council retains considerable flexibility in subsequently determining consistency with the general plan." So, with that said, again, I think the blueprint is the RUL that was established originally by the city and the county. That is what that blueprint should be. The greenbelt's outside that RUL, everything inside that RUL should be urban development and housing.
And I think it's important to note that that area has permission to do development. So it's not like it's greenbelt, nobody can touch it. It's just Stop Napa Oaks doesn't want the magnitude that, I think it's 11, you're saying, yeah, no,
right.
No problem, 11. The project started, I think, at 90-some units, and it's been evolved, like you said, that, I view that as compromise. You went from 90-some units down to 51 now?
Yeah, in fact, in 1975, and before they changed the general plan in 98, it was allowed up to 172 units on that property. 172 units. And they designated it down to 11 max in 98. So.
All right, well, let's get to, did you want to say something?
No, They made that change for a reason, because they recognize that it's dense. It's a dense urban area, and there's a heavy agricultural area on the other side. So they needed some sort of that was the whole purpose of the amendment. So to try to change it back again, just for profit margins from an out-of-town developer, does not make sense.
Well, let's go on to the next question, okay, from one of the neighbors. And this is an interesting question. So she's asking, is everyone aware that Stonebridge School is moving to 5266 Old Sonoma Road? Are you not listening? Am I hard to listen to? Okay, so 5266 Old Sonoma Road from the current location on Los Caneros Avenue by August 2020. Have we heard about this? Is everybody aware of that? All right, so how can it be beneficial to the area by increasing traffic even more on Old Sonoma Road into and out of Highway 12, especially when they're around school drop-off and pickup? What's going to happen then? What is the commute going to look like?
I'm really concerned about the school going out there, in the sense that we've got a proposed roundabout on the bottom of that hill.
Right.
And anybody that drives that road will tell you that it's a dangerous hill coming down. You have to be on your brake. By David On's own traffic study, the average speed coming down that hill was 45 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. And I spoke to a retired fire marshal a while back, and he was shocked at the idea of a roundabout proposed there. He said, that's the steepest hill in all of Napa city limits. And I took him at his word, because he's a former fire marshal. So there is a lot of concern for a lot of different reasons for that hillside, the roundabout, slowing to 15 miles an hour through that roundabout. And on top of that, David On wants to put a crosswalk in the middle of that roundabout. so people can cross the street to go get a cup of coffee, and then people have to come to a dead stop on that hillside. So there is a lot of concern about a lot of issues on Old Sonoma Road.
Steve?
Yeah, so we were absolutely proposing a roundabout on Old Sonoma Road because it currently is in unsafe condition, and I think slowing that traffic down to 50 miles an hour so people can safely cross that road is a good thing for that neighborhood. So in regards to the question about the school, I think the EIR for Napa Oaks has determined that traffic impacts for this project is insignificant, less than significant. I think this project probably, with the Tresor winery up the road and the school up the road, I think there's some traffic that's going to be accumulated, but it's not. But the EIR has stated that Napa Oaks has a less than significant impact on the traffic. In regards to the safety of that roundabout, the experts have looked at it. It is something that is feasible. There's traffic calming that can be installed prior to that roundabout to slow that traffic down. So to insinuate that this roundabout is actually going to be a more unsafe situation is mind-boggling. But.
And no disrespect to the fire marshal, I don't know who that is, but it'd be like me asking my interior designer to look at my car. It just seems like a apples and oranges scenario there. But you say that the traffic engineers, the Caltrans, the city people, whoever is in charge of that, have given that roundabout a stamp of approval, and that it...
Yeah, it still has to go through final design. Conceptually, it works, and so the experts are waiting to jump on it to design it for the project.
Yeah, but I've always thought that would be a good thing, whether there's a development there or not, because everybody does go too fast coming down that hill.
Well, I'm looking at the U.S. Department Transportation Guidelines for roundabouts. I pulled it off their website. And they do not recommend roundabouts on steep grades, certainly no more than 4% grade. And if you Google Earth at Lilienthal and Old Sonoma Road, we're looking at between 7 and 10% grade. So they're going to have a battle on their hands for that roundabout because the U.S. Department of Transportation specifically says do not do that. It's a dangerous thing. You have to do other modifications, and maybe they can do something to modify it, but it's not recommended.
All right, let's go on to another question. We've asked a lot of the ones that I had here. We've already addressed in some way, shape, or form.
Well, it's been we're supposed to go to City Council now for a hearing that got pushed back to March. What date is it now? March. There's no date right now. Yeah. Okay. And the reasons being because the new fault maps lines came in, so they're different, and we want to see where they all lie. So, as of now, how does the old maps look compared? Well, we don't know what the new maps. Have you seen the new maps on here? Because they've obviously published them. What's the difference that we need to be concerned about? Steve, or
so based on the 2014 earthquake evaluation by the California GS, they put out these Alquist-Priola fault zones, and this is something they do all over the state when they determine there's a fault. What they do is they make sure that any occupied residence within that zone needs to make sure that it has that there's no fault that resident's sitting on. So it not only covers our project, it covers all of Caswell, and it's something that the members of or residents of Caswell should be concerned about. Any future modifications to their house, they're going to have to actually do some investigations and retrofit their homes. So it not only affects our property, it affects actually citywide. But again, our geologists don't anticipate anything whatsoever new out of this. It's just that, again, like I said earlier, it's just crossing the T's and dotting the I's and satisfying the state law and confirming there's nothing underneath the proposed structures.
And isn't that the way that the new laws state that there has to be a certain number of feet set back from where the actual fault is? Is it 50 or 100 feet?
It's either 25 or 50,
Okay.
and I believe this zone here. I want to say I know out there right now we're trenching 50 feet beyond, so I'm assuming that's what the gellers are claiming. That's
Okay.
that's that,
Yeah, so you're up there digging 20 feet deep, 20 feet wide.
Oh, no. So basically, we just got to dig into bedrock. Get to
Okay.
bedrock. Once you get into bedrock, you can see if there's been any faulting in the past. So we're 2 to 3, 4 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's we've got maybe this week we'll be done trenching. So.
Did you have something to say on that?
Well, I did have a question about, David on says the homes are seismically safe. Is that going to be all the homes in the development? Is it just the ones that are closest to the fault zone? And also, what happens with the utility lines? The gas lines and water lines that are going to cross these fault lines. I'd like a little more explanation on that, because my understanding is the Alquis Priolo is a separate kind of, it's a very dangerous fault zone. I'm sure that David on was very unhappy when they got that designation up on the hillside. So I'd like a little more information about that.
Steve, you have a minute.
Okay, yeah. We weren't surprised this was coming. In fact, the investigation that we did back in 2014 actually qualified as the investigation for an Alquis Priolo. So what we're doing out there is just crossing we're just going a little beyond because they zone these things a little further. So all the homes will be seismically outside the seismic zones, and be outside the fault zones. When you design a home, what you're concerned about is the fault line. If you're sitting on top of the fault line, there's vertical or horizontal displacement. You can always design it for shaking of the houses, which all houses in California are seismically designed for shaking. So all homes in Napa Oaks will be outside the fault zone.
And you've moved them around within your plan specifically because of the fault.
Yeah, after 2014, we had to adjust around the new fault zone. We ended up reducing one lot from 54 to 53. But yeah, we're completely out of that.
Well, quickly, final statement. Anybody over here, Carol or Suzanne? Real quick, literally 30 seconds.
So I again, go to stopnapaoaks.com. We've done a lot of homework, and we've done a lot of research, and we really support property rights. We're pro-zoning. We're not really anti-anything, and we would welcome David on Homes to build the 11 homes that they are zoned for and really add benefit to our community. And the hillside has been deemed sensitive, and for a reason, and now with the trenching, it just exacerbates it. Thank you.
Thank you for being on, Carol and Suzanne. We really appreciate it. Steve, real quick.
Yeah. No, I just like
15 seconds.
I appreciate it. I'd just like to offer to any of your listeners, if they want to learn more about Napa Oaks, you can contact me or see how you can help with Napa Oaks. You can contact me at napaoaksinfo@gmail.com.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. We really appreciate it.